Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. That's 1 p.m. Central, okay? But thank you again so much for watching. You can find us on television syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire, and that's through Abundance Television. Thank you, Rob Batts, for making that happen. You can also find us on the Newscaster Studio. Thank you guys for making that happen as well. The newscasterstudio.com. You'll be able to get to see all kinds of truthful talk show hosts. We're going to tell it to you like it is. It won't be any fake news, I promise you that. My sports guy, by the way, AP Stedham, has his own show there as well. So if you want to know anything about football in the South, he's in the SEC big time. So anyway, he's got his own podcast there as well. So I got some good friends in high places, and they really are. You can continue sending emails. The show is all about you, by the way. It's not about me. And you guys love hearing stuff about fair tax. Absolutely. I'm going to tell you, Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey are with me right now. I haven't had questions, basically. Basically, is Trump doing fair tax? That's been it. Yeah. People want to know, is that what he's doing? Because when you say no taxes on tips and all these different things that are happening, right, is he about to do that? Is he about to do that?
We don't know.
We don't know. Those are all half measures, and they're tinkering here, tinkering there. The only way you're going to make it right is to get rid of the income tax and enact the fair tax.
Yeah, but he's talking about getting rid of the income tax. I mean, he's talking about getting rid of the.
Yeah. He's talking about using tariffs to fill the hole. And if he keeps going along with Doge, he may be able to do that with just tariffs, because there won't be any government left to fund.
Oh, that would be so wonderful.
We were in our meeting, our monthly Zoom meeting for the Americans for Fair Taxation, and the guys are talking around. They're saying, one of the guys said, if this Doge thing keeps going like it's going, instead of being 23% replacement tax, it's going to be about 10% replacement tax. So keep on going, boys, because that's all in the right direction, and you're just going to backfill with the fair tax once you get done with your Doge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really an interesting fact. Our son happened to be in D.C. while they were taking the sign down at USAID, and so we have a video of them taking this sign down, which is really I sent that out to our families to show, actually just to send our son's picture, and with all the little icons that you can send with messages, the confetti and the love it. I just love it so much.
Well, the deal is he's got a selfie of himself with the guy in the background of selfie video with the guy in the background taking that stuff off the wall.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was a U.S. agency of blah blah blah, and they had the middle of the they had aid taken off and started on whatever the next word is.
Yeah.
Mary Lynn, you were right on target. A few months, and you've said this several times. You've said there's more good people than bad people. Yeah. There are more people who love the country than don't love the country, and I think we saw that with the Super Bowl. What Taylor Swift, people were booing her, and then Trump gets out there, and it's like this, they started just roaring for him. And so
they're coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I didn't watch the Super Bowl.
I didn't either. I heard about that. I saw that.
What's a Super Bowl?
Yeah. Not like it used to be. No. It's not. It's all meant to divide. It's all for division. And this is what I thought was interesting. I didn't watch it either, but I did see part of the Super Bowl. I saw the middle part of it and all that. And what I thought was really interesting is how a guy sang our song, and he was a black guy. Then they wanted to turn around to create division, I'm pretty sure. Why did they have to go on ahead and get a black choir to sing their version? I didn't understand why you would have to do that, unless it's to create division.
Yeah,
I don't know, but were they good? I didn't hear them, so
they were all good. But my point is you already had a black guy singing the national anthem, but then you wanted a black version with a black choir singing it.
Good. I just really feel we need to get back past noticing skin color or gender or any of those things. I mean, just if they were really good, then that's great. I don't care what
They
color they
were.
are. So
But they were just trying to start something again. And
yeah,
this is what's happening is everybody wants to go woke. I would
yeah.
think that you would know by now if you're any kind of a business whatsoever. If you go woke, you go broke. I
Mhm.
mean,
Well,
it's happening.
I don't think anything came of it though, right? They sang their little song and they were done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I just, when noticing what color each set was, that reminds me of the Democrat National Committee picking their head. They had to have 2 men, 2 women, and a non-gender voting.
And if the fifth person was a man or woman, they had to throw them out and put a non-gender in their place.
Yeah, it's so.
That's very democratic in the Democrat Party.
I really don't understand that. When we had our Nextel stores, we were constantly hiring. I mean, but when we had actually the folks who worked managing each store, then we had a division manager who handled like 4 stores. We had 2, 4 stores, 4 stores. Then we had someone who managed that person who was taking care of the stores, the 4 different stores, total of 8 stores. I didn't care whether they were black, white, purple, pink, polka dot. I always wanted the best person, but I would not hire anybody. If I had that now, I would have to close my business down because I would not hire somebody just because they were confused with what sex they are.
Yeah.
Because to me, there's something wrong mentally with you, and I don't want you running my business.
Right.
I want the best person possible to run my business.
Yeah, I just always thought it was insulting to the person if you're picked merely because of whatever
Your pronoun.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I grew up in a small town. I'm in Geraldine, Alabama, and basically, if you were a cheerleader or something, it's because your dad owned something, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had an aunt who owned a business, and she said, I want you to be the homecoming queen. Well, first of all, I was so shy. I didn't want to be a homecoming queen, and I didn't want to. And what I found out is it's basically the one who bought the most advertising. So I said, so you would buy me into being homecoming queen? Even at 15, I couldn't do that. I mean, I was 16, whatever I was at that age. It was just like, I'm not getting it for my great beauty, which I wasn't. I had zits all over my face. And I said, so it's not for my great beauty that I would be homecoming queen. It's because you bought me into it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's not an achievement to me.
Yeah. I agree. And so, like I said, hopefully with Trump, we can get past that. Because I really don't think he looks at any of those characteristics. I really don't.
Unless they make him angry.
Well, he's a businessman. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why he's a successful businessman. Successful is the key word right there. Because to him, he hired gay people. He didn't care. I mean, he's one of the best people for his job.
Boy, he's picked some good ones. I am so impressed with the people he's picked for his cabinet. And
you got Hegseth in there, Secretary of Defense, and as a result of Trump getting in and Hegseth getting that job, man, people are running to the recruiting offices and trying to sign up. They're fighting to get in.
No, it's like record. They've never had that many.
Right, and you ask them, they say, well, we got real men in there running the show, and they got rid of all that DEI stuff.
Wait a minute. You mean that it's not okay for a man to have a dress on with high heels to be like the commanding general?
No more of that stuff in the services. Pete has laid down the law. He said, get it out.
USAID will pay for it if you're in Guatemala or Ireland or whatever. That brings to mind another thing. They keep saying, well, Musk was not elected. Well, Samantha Power ran USAID. She was not elected either, and she refused to open the books for the Congress. The Congress is supposed to have oversight, and when they ask her for, well, particularly the Republicans, the Democrats didn't ask, but when the Republicans would ask for, the expenditures or accounting for the expenditures, she wouldn't give the information. So, for people who think it's unconstitutional what is going on, it's not. It's actually just putting sunlight on what's been going on, and it is really nasty in that pit.
Well, I think it's unconstitutional sending money to other countries about things that make absolutely no sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Sesame
As a matter of
Street,
fact,
I mean, come on.
it's illegal to spend money to try to, you know, break a country apart.
Well,
That's,
gain of function is illegal too, and they were funding that in other countries because they couldn't do it in the United States. And it was a lot of money they were spending. We were told that Peter Daszak got $600,000 through Eco Health to send to Wuhan. It was much, much more than that. It just went through other agencies. So I think it was something like 8 million or more. So, and the Chinese military was working on it too. I mean, I really question. I think it's part of the global reset.
Yeah,
that's what that was all headed towards.
Well, it's not only that; it's Democrats and some narcissist Republicans.
Oh,
they all make a little bit of money off of that too. Now, there's money that filters through everybody's hands that want it.
Yeah.
Well, the new Secretary of the Air Force was a major that got rousted out.
I think he was a captain.
No, he was a major, I believe. He could have been a captain. At any rate, because he was questioning the DEI stuff at the Air Force Academy, and now he's the Secretary of the Air Force.
Undersecretary. He's the undersecretary.
Undersecretary of the Air Force. And he wrote a book, and he's got it all laid out about where the problems were and what needs to be done. And as he has in the past, Donald Trump says, "You're it. Go over there and do something about it." So
yeah.
I like that. I mean, I like to take the whole government person. You know, let's make this happen. Let's don't talk about it 10 years. Let's just do it now. What are your thoughts about the wasted money that's going to people who are doing basically nothing on their jobs, and then Trump offering them severance pay?
They better take it.
You know, I told you that our son was in. He has been spending a week in D.C. every month. For the past several months. And I said, well, what? And he had some USAID people in one of his classes. And I said, well, what was it like? And he said, it's funereal. He said, it's like somebody died in DC. That town is really going to be shaken up, but it needed to be. And there were people who just felt like they were owed. You have families where the husband or one of the family worked for the federal government, and the other person had a high-paying job. You had probably making over $500,000 a year, and they're complaining now because that they just aren't going to be able to make it, and they get eight months pay, full pay, when they leave. So it is, I can understand that it's upsetting when you lose your job. I truly can understand that, but the thing about it is they're not like the people in North Carolina, which could have used that money that they were using for DEI all over the world.
Oh, give them $700. They'll be happy.
Oh no, $750. No.
Oh, $750. Now you got to pay it back. It's a loan.
And the same thing happened in Maui. Those people only got $700, $750. Mm-hmm. So, that money, the money that they were spending for transgender surgeries in Guatemala could have been spent helping the people, Americans that needed help.
Are there that many people in Guatemala that want sex change operations? I mean, are there that many really?
It's probably one of those things where the money goes there and then it heads back to some other place.
Well, it could be that, or it could be that what they're trying to do is spread homosexuality and trans and all of that stuff. They're trying to spread it to the rest of the world, because if you'll think about it, how many people did you know or had ever heard of that were trans in your lifetime until a few years ago? There was
one guy I met in Charlotte, North Carolina. So he comes into, I sold like high priced cosmetics out of my store. So he comes in and he said that he wanted some makeup for his girlfriend. And I said, well, they're different skin tones. I mean, I've really got to see. It was going to be a surprise Valentine or something. I forgot what it was. And I said, I can't just sell it to you like that. I said, she needs to come in. I need to look at her skin tone. I need to know she's warm, cool colors. I need to know all that kind of stuff. Then I got suspicious. Now, he looked like a guy the first time he came in, okay? And he's a good-looking guy, by the way. Mm-hmm. So he comes in and then he says, well, her skin tone's the same as mine. And that's when I got suspicious. I'm like, oh, really? I said, still, though, her eye color may be different from yours. He said, no, I said, are you twins? No. And I said, I really feel uncomfortable selling you makeup when I can't see the person. I feel really, because I don't want you bringing it all back, because it wasn't the right color. So then he comes in dressed, I knew it was him. Then he comes in dressed like the woman. Okay, he was 6 foot tall, something like that, had big feet. I mean, he wore like a size, do you know anybody that sells size 12 shoes, heels and all that kind of stuff. And so later on, he told me that he had kids. He'd been married before, he had kids, had 2 kids. One kid didn't speak to him, the other one does, and all this. And then one black guy came in, and he was trans. I've only met 2 people in my entire lifetime that were trans that I knew of. Mm-hmm. And so, he comes in the store. I'm treating him like it's a human being because he is a human being, even though I totally disagree with everything he does. Mm-hmm. So he said, do you want to see a picture of me when I was a man? And I said, yeah, I'm going to see what you look like when you were a man. You already won as far as I was concerned. I said, but yeah, let me see.
You can't change that.
But you know what? He looked like he was good looking black man. He looked like Denzel Washington.
Who knows?
And I told him, I said, you look so much better as a man. I said, does anybody ever tell you look like Denzel Washington? And he said, yeah. And I said, you do. You need to be a man. So anyway, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. It's unfortunate, though. I feel sorry for the people that have that problem, but the people I despise are the ones that encourage them to do that.
And they want to act like we bash them. They want to act like we're haters. And I didn't hate either one of those guys.
Yeah.
I wanted to see them do different, but I didn't hate them.
What I hate is they want to spend my money to enable that, and that's not my bag at all.
Well, some of them are really desperate people, and it's very unfortunate that they're not getting the help that they need. And what they're getting is help that is not helpful at all and is destructive to their
but kids, especially teenagers, go through these stupid phases. Now, I never went through that phase. I went through dumb ones before, but not that. But what I'm saying is they go through phases because they want to be like the popular kids or whatever, and they want attention. Right. So they're getting mutilated. Well, then when they get older,
too late.
Then they'll kill themselves. They're going to kill themselves if they don't get it. No, they'll kill themselves later when they get more mature.
Right. When they figure it out.
Whatever. I feel great sympathy for those people, but for the doctors that encourage it, I feel nothing but I just despise them.
And by the way, the fair tax doesn't care if you're transgender or whatever.
No,
just pay your tax.
They don't care if you sell in same-sex marriage. They don't care.
You want to get married, go ahead and do it because the IRS is not any longer there, and we don't care.
Yeah.
Annie sent something, and she said that she's an older lady. She didn't say how old she was. No, it wasn't Annie. It was Amanda, and so she did get married to the guy, but she said for the longest they lived together because they're both on Social Security now, and it's affected their Social Security.
Yeah.
And your tax bracket.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like the DEI. It's people are put in categories, and it just shouldn't be that way. When you buy something, you pay the tax, you're done. You don't have to have a receipt. You never have to go back to it unless you return the item, whatever it is. But no, I can't think of anything that's better than that. Now I've been hearing, because Trump wants to get rid of the IRS, I've heard other people talking about different suggestions, but a lot of them, one of them in particular that I heard wants to cut from Social Security, grandfather the people that are in it, and then base their Social Security on their income, which people like Social Security the way it is. Oh, and by the way, another thing about Social Security where they can cut a whole lot from Social Security is there are over 4 million recipients of Social Security that are over 112 years old. Did you know that?
But there are only about 40 known people that are over 112
years old. So there are people who, they died and they're their children are collecting the Social Security, or there's, someone else is collecting Social Security, or someone has taken their Social Security number and is using it for various purposes.
I just read where one of the results of Doge is that they're going to start checking every month, every week, or every month to see what the rolls look like, and start wiping people off the rolls. That's the only way they're going to save. That right there will immediately save Social Security for several more years.
Well, Mary Lynn, think about this. We've mentioned this a couple of times, and this is where somebody in Atlanta, was collecting like millions.
Yes, she was wrong.
How did it go that long?
I was wrong. It wasn't 23 million. It was 46 million that it was sent to that one. It was at one address.
Okay. If it was old Donna Feazell trying to cheat something out, it'd be $1,000. They'd have me in the slammer. I mean, I'm just telling you, how can it go? My point is, how can it go that far?
Yeah,
how can it go that long?
It was a refund, and you know what they do is just process those refunds. They've got old computers, and they don't keep up with it. And
they keep up with me.
They only audit about 4% of the tax returns too, because they have no capability to do any higher than that.
Yeah. So
what's going to happen to those armed agents that are going to be out there? What's going to happen?
Actually, they'll be just like the USAID workers. They will have to have another job because that thrills me. I'll tell you, to be honest, if Trump can eliminate the income tax with tariffs, I say go for it. I really don't care. I just want to get rid of the income tax. And the thing is, with I believe the fair tax is the best way to do it, because it does address Social Security and Medicare. Those are two. I was not a fan of Medicare when it first came out. I still am not a big fan of it, but the American people like it. So we're going to have it. That's fine. I have no, I can deal with that, but we can do it with the fair tax. Yeah. So
the money will be there.
Yeah. And let me tell you, there was a young man, a young black man, who said, I've been a Democrat all my life. He said, I've always thought that Republicans were evil. And he said, until I saw this. And it was, he said, he showed a clip of a man who said, I'm a 2-time survivor of bone cancer. I had insurance that I paid $120 a month, and it was $1,000 deductible. This was back before Obamacare.
Yeah. When
Obamacare came along, he said, now I have to pay $2,000 a month, and I'm gonna get this wrong. I think it's $6,000 deductible. Well, the deductible was more, and anyway, he said, but if you're on Medicaid, it's free. And he said, when I saw the candidates in the primary, the Democrat primary, when they were asked the question, who is for Obamacare or who is for free health care for illegals, everyone raised their hand. And he said, they get free health care. I'm here paying it was $1,200 a month, then $6,000 deductible. He said, I don't have it. And he said, because of Obamacare, I can't get the CT scans and things that I'm supposed to have every 6 months, but they can get it free.
If your illegals can.
If you're illegal. So,
so
a lot of those programs that the federal government has, they're really awful for Americans. They're awful for, if you're illegal here, you get, they'll feed you and house you and clothe you and do your laundry, for heaven's sake. That
one got me.
Yeah, me too.
Doing the laundry.
Yeah.
Give you a free phone. So
such a deal.
Yeah. Now I don't know if the laundry was free everywhere, but it was in one of the New York hotels. So anyway, it just I don't get it.
Let's go and quick commercial break, and let's divvy just a little bit more about the tariffs, because there was some emails about that too. So the tariffs versus no tax. Okay, we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there.
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk, so where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. and that's Eastern Time Zone, or 1 p.m. Central Time Zone, or wherever you live. We are so glad that you are watching us and that you take your time out of your day. Some of you don't watch during the live show, but you watch the recordings. We appreciate you doing that as well. You can go YouTube and find us there. And I've been taken off of Facebook a lot less here lately. So maybe Zuckerberg.
He's made it a little kinder and gentler, I guess.
Yeah, I got a feeling there was some kind of a deal in there between him and Trump, so that would happen, because he's acting kind of makes me think of the little Korean man, the little North Korean dictator.
Rocket Man.
Kind of has this, Rocket Man. He kind of had this little look on his face like he might have been fearing something. So I feel like he and Trump had some kind of.
He had to pay the president $25 million for interfering with the.
Is that all? Just $25
$25 million.
It'd be more than that.
They worked it out for interfering with the election.
Mm-hmm.
So He's all admonished now and in the fold.
Have you heard about CBS? That's another thing that apparently they're only worth about $6 billion now. And Trump has sued them for 10. And and CBS wants to make a deal, but part of the deal was that the president of CBS, that CBS is owned by another, I think, two companies, like two carrier companies. And the president of CBS said is supposed to apologize, and he said, "I will not apologize." So
go under, sir.
Yeah.
So it could be that Elon Musk will buy CBS, and you know, another thing too about him, people say he just wants power. He's from South Africa, and our daughter played tennis in college, and was on the tennis team. And one of the girls on the tennis team was from South Africa, and that place did not know freedom at all. Her parents could not send her money. It had to be approved by the South African government to send her money
to live on.
To live on, college. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, but that was filtered through the channel. That was probably filtered through the country.
I don't know, but I just know that she could not. There was a great deal of. It was just like a communist country,
right.
And then if you left the country, you had to leave everything behind. You could not take your wealth with you. I'm sure there are ways to smuggle it out, but it was a dangerous thing to do. So he knows he appreciates freedom, and so I feel very comfortable with him working for the government. I do not feel comfortable with Samantha Power, however, working for the government, because her aim was to DEI the world. Mm-hmm. So and use our money to do it, and that is so unspeakable to me.
Well, DEI the world while filling the coffers of all these folks that are getting the kickback.
Yes, and that's another thing too. The Department of Education. If you saw them, the Democrats swarming the Department of Education trying to get in, I am sure there is something going on that these people have had their hand in the till, and there's a record of it for a long time.
And it's next.
Yeah. I said, I have this picture in my mind of someone stomping on an anthill and the ants just running around frantically. That's what they remind me of.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Ann Eubanks right about all this stuff. I remember the first time I met Ann. Yeah. Somebody, I forget who it was, said, you got to meet this lady. She's going to be in Fort Payne, blah, 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 blah. I'm just telling you, the first time I met her, I'm thinking, wacko. I mean, I really am, because she's just, because I didn't have any kids in school, no grandkids, nothing like that. I didn't know what was going on. I know I was upset when Brad was in school and needed a calculator for math. I thought that was cheating. I did get upset, and I voiced my opinion of that to the teacher as well. But anyway, the thing she was saying, she was right.
Yeah.
All she kept saying over and over and over again during that meeting, follow the money.
Yeah, well, if I'm not mistaken, she was a teacher for a long time. Is that correct?
Well, you would know.
I think she was an educator.
I don't know that. I never knew.
I got the feeling that she was. Anyway.
Well, she knows, and every single thing she said has panned out. She should have won that race. There was nobody more qualified than Ann Eubank. No one. She had it. She had it down. But too many people didn't want Ann to have it. That's why I'm saying Alabama's just as filthy as
that's correct.
DC.
Yeah, just go down to Montgomery and watch the.
I feel dirty every time I go.
Watch that sausage being made.
Exactly, it is. It's a scary thing. I wish we had an Elon Musk here in the state. But it's speaking of Ann, when she was a big Cruz fan, she actually campaigned for Cruz, and when she after the election, she went to Washington with a group, and she said, I had a lot of misgivings about Trump, but she said, when I heard him talk, she said, he's our man. And, that's high praise from Ann.
Well, that's what everybody says once they meet him and talk to him a little while.
Yeah.
Gary Lathan said the same thing. I remember being at a big Republican meeting in Alabama, and she was there. And she said, who are you going to be voting for? And I said, Trump. and she was, I forgot, Rubio or somebody. I don't remember who she said, but anyway, she goes, "You're for Trump." Well, then later she goes to DC and she meets Trump, and she sent me a message and she said, "You were right about him." Mm-hmm. She said, "I thought he was a big jerk." She said the same thing Ann did. Ann told me the same thing. Ann hated him, and so they both had the same story. It's like he listened to them and was very attentive. They were both afraid they wouldn't get a word in edgewise with him. Well, that didn't happen. And Ann said that Trump studies you. Mm-hmm. That's why you're successful. If you're a successful person, you usually do. You study people so that you know what you're up against, so that you can negotiate. So that
he actually listens.
Yeah, watch him with little kids.
Yeah, that's if you meet many politicians, and I know you have. The ones we've met that will shake your hand and be looking over your shoulder to who's coming next.
Beware.
I've seen many more of those than I have of people who actually listen.
I got to say this, and I'm probably going to get in all kinds of trouble, but I don't really care anymore. Ainsworth did the same thing. Okay, so Fred and I went to same thing, DC and Montgomery. We went, and there was a wall behind me and my friend. He wasn't even looking at us when we were talking. He was looking up at the wall. And I'm going to tell you, my two wise grandfathers always said, if a person doesn't look you in the eye when they're talking to you, don't trust them.
Yeah, Chuck has trouble with that. I have
an issue with it.
It's my Middle Eastern background.
No, it's actually, I can identify with that because it was hard for me to look at people when I was I'm shy. I was shy too for most of my life, but I trained myself to look at people and actually listen to what they're saying. Actually, I think I always did listen, but when you look people in the eye, it makes a whole lot of difference, and they respect you more, and you get more out of what they're saying. So I truly, that's really important, and that's something that children need to learn too. That you don't look at the wall and you don't look at the ground when you're talking to someone. So,
yeah, but this guy's in office. I couldn't figure out why. As a matter of fact, at one point I actually went. I mean, it was just, and it was.
Is there somebody up there?
Yeah, is somebody making faces? I mean, what's that?
Yeah.
But it was a wall.
Yeah.
And I just thought that a little odd.
He's trying to get his thoughts together. That bland background, getting his thoughts.
Philosopher. He's a philosopher.
Yeah, I always get the impression they're looking for someone more important to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a voter should not be ever made to feel that way.
Yeah.
Because that's your customer.
Yep.
You know what to say about customers? You got to look your customers in the eye.
Well, I'll tell you who you're talking about. Here in Alabama, our Speaker of the House we had a meeting with him. It was an hour-long meeting with two other representatives.
1 hour and a half.
And now when he sees us, he goes in the other direction. So,
yeah, he does me that way too. He runs when
he doesn't know us anymore. So, yeah.
Has he got another? Is he still going to be Speaker? I mean, what are his ambitions?
I don't know. I have no idea.
He wants to be
Yeah, I don't know. I was really surprised that Tommy Haynes and our representative both really liked him. Really thought he would be a good speaker. And
do they now?
No,
I don't think Richie does. Tommy's not. Tommy lost his election, so I don't know.
They primaried Tommy.
Yeah, that was intentional. They lost a really good man.
They sure did. That's one guy right there that I trusted in politics.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but and I'll tell you another thing: is the longer they're there, the more they become that. It is there are people you can really respect, and then after they're there for a few years, it kind of, I don't know what it does, but things change.
Well, another thing my grandparents said it was pretty wise is choose your friends wisely because you're going to become them.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's true.
Remember this? News alert, news alert. Donna told us she had some stuff on tariffs she needed to talk to us about.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk tariffs because this is okay. This one is from Blake, and he thinks that tariffs and fair tax are the same thing. So let's elaborate on that just a little bit.
The tariffs right now, even as we speak, the U.S. collects tariffs from countries that are shipping their goods in the U.S. and it varies by the agreements made with the different allies that ship to export to the U.S. And we've been learning more about it ourselves. And back in the early days of the country, mostly we lived off mostly tariffs, and then as we progressed, excise taxes made up the other part. And then along came the income tax lovers, which were really Marxist. Marx started his stuff about you got to tax people to death.
It's a progressive income tax, which separates people.
It separates people. So that came along and was codified through the 16th Amendment. And by the way, the Fed started the same year. Does that give you an idea what's going on there? So we've been in trouble with the income tax ever since. So we haven't depended much on tariffs since the income tax came into the being, and so they've just tinkered with the income tax, raising it and lowering it, and they're just creating all kinds of havoc with all
the income tax
regulations and everything.
With the income tax, you can enlarge your government. The government was actually 3% of the GDP, 3% of the population, or GDP, 3% of the GDP. Back in the early 1900s, and then before 1913, and then with the progressive income tax, you can go to war, and we did. And World War I started the next year. And after World War II, we needed to raise money, so they raised the income tax 90%. Of course, there were a lot of exclusions and deductions, which actually were facilitated the rich because they don't actually make income. They get their money from capital gains or from stock and things like that, or they own property, which is not taxed by income tax. So
salaries are taxed.
Yeah, so people who are wage earners are taxed. But the honest thing is, we actually have a tariff on ourselves with the embedded taxes. So it costs the embedded taxes that range from 16 to 28%, averaging about 23%, are included in the cost of all of our items. So when we sell them overseas, we actually have a VAT that is included, and it's not taken off it's a fixed VAT that's not taken off at the shoreline, unlike other countries that remove their VAT when they sell in the United States. So they can sell cheaper than we can. Yeah. And with the fair tax, there really wouldn't be a need for tariffs. You could use tariffs for manipulating things, like getting the border wall and having things like
I like how these other folks from other countries, they come in, we're not going to do that. We're not going to. And then sooner or later, they come in, okay.
Yeah. Trump is smart, and he's been able to manipulate, to deal with that. But I don't know that that's always going to work, because they can gang up on us.
Right.
And,
well, they've already ganged up on us with a worthless person we had the last 4 years.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's how we got.
It would be a slower process. It wouldn't be like the next week after you take office.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have a system, you need a steady system like the fair tax would be, because you know what the rate's going to be, and you pay that rate and you're done with it, and it's going to collect at least as much, mostly a little more than what you would with an income tax, because you get rid of all the forms and everything. You get rid of the people having to fill out the forms for you, or then the government. All of that stuff goes away, and there's a lot of cost in it. There's $450-500 billion a year just to fill out forms, and then you've got $1 trillion in tax evasion. So there you're at $1.5 trillion to collect an income tax that only brings in another $1 trillion. So it's stupid.
Plus, you're paying to collect the tax.
Yeah.
which is another.
You pay out of your pocket.
Well, you're paying the salaries and so on, retirement, and all of that for the IRS workers. So it costs more. It really costs an awful lot to collect what it does. But the thing about the fair tax is it breeds freedom. And my dream would be that the whole world would have the fair tax. I think that we could live in peace. I truly believe that if we had that kind of freedom, that when you pay taxes, I mean, look at the people who pay the highest taxes in the United States: California, New York, and people are leaving there in droves, and the people that are stayed behind are living in poverty. So, I just think the fair tax is really the best way to go. If he can do it without, with the tariffs and that's great. I think the income tax is a tool for evil.
I do too. And this is what it reminds me of. So a long time ago, I had bought something from a company, and this was like 20 years ago or something. And so they send me a bill for 30 cents. Well, the postage stamp was like 40 something cents. And I was just like,
what?
I wrote him a check for 40 cents. I thought I'm going to write him a check. I don't know. It was some kind of an oversight, or they charged more. I don't know. It was just, It was under $1. It was under $1, and it was less than the stamp. Well, that's how the government runs things.
Those counts had to balance.
But one thing that we used to do as a trick when you had a candidate that you really didn't like, send them a donation for a nickel, and it costs them $1 to process that, so they're losing money. Even if they don't acknowledge it, they're still losing money. So, yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
thanks for that idea.
So the tariffs thing, it can be useful to use like Trump is doing, but like you said, there's no guarantee the next guy is going to be as skilled at doing that as Trump is, because Trump's a pretty unique person.
He really is. I really see, this is presumptuous, I guess, but I really see God working in Trump. You had his losing the election or forfeiting the election in 20.
He won it, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, that set him up. He realized that he had been really snookered by the people he chose. The Federalist Society sent him candidates for the Supreme Court. Yeah. He just had people who were working against him, and he realizes that, and went about doing something that was really, really smart and got some really good. I can't be more impressed with the people the people he has in his.
You know what though, Trump in so many ways, I know he's rich beyond. I would never be that rich, but I'm just saying he's so much like the everyday person though, like us. Okay, all right, mistreat me the first time, shame on me, but next time, shame on you. And he's got that attitude. All right, you got me on that one, but you're not going to get me again.
Yeah,
and I love that attitude. And we all saw that before the election, and the way he was being treated, like every court they were trying to keep, it backfired on him so much. When that T-shirt goes out with him like behind bars and all that, that's all it took. Yeah. Really, many other things, but that's the best thing they could have done to him.
Or sitting up in the garbage truck.
Yeah.
or frying French fries. Whatever. I'm
really working at McDonald's, not like she's saying.
The best line ever is the day after or the day of the garbage truck deal. He went and had his town hall, and he said, "Well, what do you guys think?" Said, "When I was in here, I told him, no, got to get my suit, and have that suit thing on." And they said, no, sir. He says, "Well, why?" He says, "It makes you look thin." He says,
I'm doing it.
He's got that thing on.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, you can see the media at work too, because the next day they said Trump's rally in Michigan. He said there was just nobody there, and then they show that the number of people that, and then he filled up an auditorium that was, I don't know how many, layers high, and that was nobody. And Kamala Harris apparently filled every auditorium she ever went to. So,
Well, she told a couple of Christians they were in the wrong place. That was a dumb thing that backfired on her too. I mean, that was stupid. Yeah, she shouldn't have said that. But I want to tell you, the best of all, I think, is during the debate. And Biden, for goodness, mumbling, didn't know what he was saying. And Trump just kept doing this. He kept going,
What?
And then he goes, I don't know what he just said, and I don't think he knows what he just said. That's something that we would say. I mean, he's just like he's an everyday guy who happens to be rich. I mean,
And then he made the famous statement that he had defeated Medicare, and that did the job right there.
yeah, he did defeat Medicare.
Yeah, he did. He spoke the truth about that one. Yeah. But there were so many things that I know. I mean, and I'm pretty sure there was a lot of fraud going on during the election. But Trump, I think, and just everyday people who were volunteering, folks like me who were volunteering, I'm sure they tried hard like they did 4 years ago, but it didn't work this time.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to make one more statement about the tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching yesterday, and what's his name? Betson Peter, the new Secretary of the Treasury. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. Okay, now you shouldn't have
said
asked
that.
me.
Anyway, you'll remember it.
Bissett.
Yeah, Bissett. He says, he was talking about tariffs, and he says, one thing you can do with tariffs, he said, it won't necessarily cause inflation, but what you can do is make them high enough so that the Americans start saying, well, that costs more, so I'm going to buy locally. And what that does is it makes manufacturing pop up all over the United States, and then all of a sudden people are working for a living, and under the income tax, they're paying more income tax, so the income tax money actually goes up. So
yeah, although I don't want income tax.
The fair tax takes care of all of that in one, like I like to say, swell food.
That'd be a sweet deal. But Trump does this thing, like everybody's had like, a bully cousin or something. And they'll get your arm and they'll turn it around like this until you say uncle.
Say uncle.
He keeps doing that. Say uncle.
But the thing about it is, I mean, was it the representative for LNG that he was going to bring $100 billion into the United? It was more than $100 billion, I guess, whatever the number was. And when they were announcing it, Trump said, "Well, let's make it 200 million." and the guy was happy. He said, "Well, we'll think about it," And he ended up, I think he said, "Well, let's make it 500 million."
That's what we would do in a business. That's what you do in the business world. Right. You want to make a profit. It's not just to barely sell by. It's like you want to make a profit.
Yeah, they did. But they did it with a smile on their face, and the same thing with North Korea. He actually made friends with Little Rocket Man, and after calling him Little Rocket Man and telling him his button was bigger than
he just looked up at Trump.
But I really think if he could have remained president, for 4 more years, I think that Korean War would have been over. I really believe that.
I don't think we'd have had any of the wars we got now. I mean, I don't think we would have, because Trump means business.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say something, I mean it. I mean, he's one of those. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people resonate with him. Like, it's always reminded me of my dad. I remember people would say, well, he seems rude. And I remember people would say my dad seemed rude. I mean, he wasn't. He was just like all business, and I would say, really? He don't seem rude to me. I mean, and I'd want to say, well, what was your dad like? Well, he was real polite, and I would be thinking, yeah, he's a Mitt Romney probably. By the way, I haven't heard from Mitt Romney lately. Is he still alive?
Yeah, he bowed out. He's not in the Senate anymore. So
and McConnell, I think he's on his last leg, so he fell again. I guess he's in a wheelchair now. So, I think we can write them off for now. The Rhino Republicans, they're still around, but I think the worst of them are gone. And actually, if you look at what happened with Joni Ernst and the Republicans that were not going to vote for Pete Hegseth, Charlie Kirk, and there were a number of people who said if she votes against him, then she's primaried. And he said, and we're raising money right now for that. So they saw the light that the American people want this, and they serve at our pleasure, not theirs. We don't serve it there, although we have been serving theirs, but
we've been slaving at their pleasure.
But let me just add one other thing too. If you want to know more about USAID and all of the corruption in government, Mike Benz, Benz, is an excellent person to just Google him. He has been working on this for years, and trying to get the word out. And he can tell you where all the little piles are where not to step. So he knows, and unfortunately we weren't allowed to know. So until now. So
what do you guys think about Tulsi?
I like her. I always have. Even when she was a Democrat, I liked her. I thought, this
they should have stuck with her. If they had stuck with her, they would be in really.
Yeah,
well,
she didn't fit the mold.
No, she was like, no, they didn't.
Oh, you're talking the Democrats?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Democrats.
Oh no, there was no way.
Of them. She would have been like the first woman president. This woman would have been, and she would have been presidential, even though she were a Democrat. She would have been like the old Democrats. I mean, she would have been. It wouldn't have been radical craziness like they do now.
Yeah,
you knew where she was headed as soon as Hillary came out and said she belonged to the Russians. The Russians were using her.
Yeah, well, she made the mistake of campaigning against Hillary, and Hillary was. You don't touch Hillary. I will never forget when we lived in Atlanta, Coretta King, whenever she would get on an airplane, people were told, you do not speak to her. You do not look at her. And she was escorted out. They actually had a limousine that would take her to the airplane. They would ask her on.
She was untouchable.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you weren't even allowed to look at her. And I understand that was the same way with Kamala, that she didn't want people looking at her or talking to her either, unless you were given permission.
Well, then that's
a rumor.
Then I'm sorry, we don't do kings and queens here.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Well, we'd have for 4 years, but anyway,
I have this theory. I mean, that Joe Biden was not president. He was a totem
figurehead.
The figurehead, yeah. And I'm feeling that Kamala thought she could do the same thing, that the other people would run the government. She would just
I'm just, everybody sees me. I get I'll be called the most beautiful woman on the earth on magazine covers.
Well, I have a feeling that there was that group that was running, because when Mike Johnson went to speak to when Mike Johnson became speaker, he said. He was in a meeting and he said he wanted to speak to, when he was made speaker, he wanted to talk to Joe Biden, and they kept putting him off for a couple of months. And finally he got an audience with Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And it turned out that not only was Joe there, but so was Schumer and who else? Kamala, and it was a group of people were there, and Nancy Pelosi. And whenever he would ask a question,
he said, "I knew they were after me."
But he said whenever he would ask a question, they would answer, and Joe was not allowed to speak. Mm-hmm. And finally, apparently, at some point, Joe Biden said, "Mike and I need to talk to each other," and they went off together. And Mike Johnson said, "Mr. President, I'm concerned about this halting LNG, halting liquid natural gas." He said, "That's a big thing in Louisiana, and that's who I represent." And Joe Biden said, "Oh, I didn't do that." And Mike said, "Yeah, you did. You signed an executive order halting the selling of LNG." And again, he reiterated it was a big thing in Louisiana. And Joe said, "No, I didn't do that." So Joe didn't even know what he was signing. He was just, stuff was put in front of him. He signed it and it was taken care of.
Well, he pulled it.
That's the timer, guys. We got to go. Okay, now how can folks find out more about fair tax?
They can go to fairtax.org for the national, or alfairtax.org for the state.
Yeah, and ask us questions. Ask Donna questions about the fair tax, about the Alabama fair tax, because we really want to take care of that, and the property taxes.
It'd be nice to be the first state. It'd be good. Really Alabama could be first on something for a change. That would be great. Besides football.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, Donna.
And thank you guys so much for watching as well. Continue sending emails, Donna@donnasedge.com, Donna@donnasedge.com. See you later. Bye-bye.